Saturday, November 6th, day 5 of the extended Kathina ceremony. Although the official Kathina day is tomorrow, Sunday, November 7th. We actually didn't have a registration for that day, and it filled up nonetheless, so that we can spread people out and we can cautiously and carefully be all-inclusive. There's some advice that a lot of the Krupa Ajahns give, the same advice. Usually it's very short. One is Rawang. Krupa Ajahn Sanwa Tang Rawang Na Rawang. Nigan Patipat. Satipanya. Brabru Pratipat, Satipanya. And the other piece of advice is Bai Lui Lui. Bai Lui Lui. That's keep going. Don't give up. So with a multi-day Kathina, we could easily just say, well, never mind, just give up. Everything is canceled. We could say that. Or we could we do what's needed to be done. We put forth the effort that's needed to have a Kathina and do it carefully, properly, in a way that we feel okay with, we feel safe with. There's also these Kathina dedications. This is the people have made dedications and written their names and put them into this bowl. This bowl was purchased by Luangpa Pasanno when he was a layman. So it's got some serious historical significance. It's got the life of the Buddha on it.
How did it arrive here?
I think he purchased it in Pakistan, and it arrived here. He just sort of, maybe his mother must have sent it. We can ask him. I doubt he took it to Thailand with him to ordain with Luang Por Chah, or when he ordained in Thailand, he didn't bring that as his alms bowl. He didn't plan on ordaining when he went. We're also blessed to have Tanajan Amro here, visiting from the UK. It's been 3 years since he came here. He was last year in 2018 for the Kathina, and Luangpa Pasanno was on sabbatical at that time, taking 1 year off. And Ajahn Kurun Dhammo and I were co-abbats at that time. And Tanajan Amro came and acted as Tan Rakito's Upachaya. And so yeah, it's been a while. It's nice to reconnect, and Tanajan Amro is actually not really going anywhere else, just come here from the UK, just to Abhayagiri to support us, and we are very supported because we've been left kind of this past year and a half. Tanajan Dunn had to cancel his visit last year, and Luang Por Piak, Luang Por Samedo, so hopefully these things can start to happen a little bit more again. It's because we need that food for the heart, we need the Dhamma input. You know, even though the Buddha said we have to be a refuge to ourselves, atahi ato, we still need that support, we still need that Kalyanamitta people, the Kuru Bhajan coming to visit and giving that kind of support. We'll be starting with the lay people pay homage to the Triple Gem, 5 precepts request, and today we'll be inviting Ajahn Amaro to give the 5 precepts. After that will be the Paritta chanting, followed by the Kathina Sangadana announcements, and the Kathina Namodana. There'll be a Dhamma talk, and today being Lumpur Liam's 80th birthday, also this evening we're going to have some reflections and recollections about Lumpur Liam. I'll be doing a little bit of a reading of Lumpur Liam's teachings, and then Ajahn Amaro and Lumpur Pasano giving some recollections, reflections on Lumpur Liam. They've known him for all these decades, for so long, and his 80th birthday at Kokjan, at the monastery where he's spent the Pansa, where he's living, they actually had a procession led by 2 tusker elephants in the monastery. It's quite special, quite an occasion for Lumpur Liam building a monastery near his home village. It's very, very special for them.
Yeah, plus the Kathina.
Did they have the Kathina on that day as well? The Chula Kathina.
The Chula Kathina,
The Chula Kathina also on that same day. Maybe that's why they brought the elephants out as well to celebrate that occasion. So I'll invite the lay people to begin. I think we're all here.
ขอเชิญกับพระสงฆ์พร้อมกัน3 ครั้งนะคะเดี๋ยวจะเชิญพี่น้องนำสวดมานะคะแต่ว่าทุกคนมีบทอยู่แล้วตามเลยก็ได้ค่ะ อิมินาสการเรนะตังพุทธังอภิปูชยามะอิมินาสการเรนะตังธัมมังอภิปูชยามะอิมินาสการเรนะตังสังฆังอภิปูชยามะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวะพุทธังภะคะวันตังอภิวาเทมิ สวากขาโลภะโตภะคะวะธัมโมธัมมังนัมสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนะมามินี่อย่างทันเกี่ยวกันติดเชื้อในระยะสั้น ปัญจศีลานิยาจามะทุติยมปิมยังพันเตอิสระเนนะสหปัญจศีลานิยาจามะตติยมปิมยังพันเตอิสระเนนะสหปัญจศีลานิยาจามะ
This is the request for the opportunity to determine the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. But sometimes we use the language like giving the precepts. Ajahn Amaro will give the precepts, or lay people say, I'd like to ask for the precepts. But I always feel this is not quite the right language. That I'm not giving them to you, but rather you're taking the opportunity to determine them for yourselves. You're not getting them from outside, but rather it is something that we look for inside. Ajahn? So that it's a customary way of speaking, but I feel it's important to see that the keeping of the precepts, the establishment of the intention to do good, to let go of what is harmful or unskillful, that's something that comes from inside us. The prasong, the sangha can inspire and can encourage, but it has to come from one place. From inside each one of us. So when we have these little ceremonies of determining the refuges and the precepts, then do please think of it in this way. This is strengthening your own intention, your own commitment to follow that which is good and noble, wholesome, and honest and harmless in life, and to let go of what is selfish and cruel or unkind or dishonest, to let go of that. And so this is encouraging your own good qualities to come forth from inside. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Ti sarana gamanang nittitang. Panati pata verakmani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana verakmani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu michachara verakmani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu michachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada verakmani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya majapamadatana verakmani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya majapamadatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Imani pancha sikapadani silena sugatinyanti silena poga sampada silena nibutinyanti tasama silang visodaye.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Vipati patipahaya sapphasampati siddhya sapphatukha vinasaya paritang prutmangkalam. Vipati patipahaya sapphasampati siddhya sapphaphaya vinasaya paritang prutmangkalam. Vipati patipahaya sapphasampati siddhya sappharokha vinasaya paritang prutmangkalam.
I'll lead the print.
Aritva namehetang sameheta baranga. Avekita Jita Paritang Banandu Sage Kame Charupe Girisi Karatate Chantarike Vimane Diperate Jagame Taruanagahane Gehawatumikete Bumma Chayandu Deva Jalatala Visameya Jagadabanahaga Titanga Santike Yang Muniwara Vachanang Sarvel Me Sunandu Buddha Dasana Kalavayang Baranda Dhamma Savana Kalavayang Baranda Sangha Pai Upasana Kalavayang Baranda
โอทัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังสรณังกัจฉามิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิทุติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังกัจฉามิทุติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิทุติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิโอจาคุมาโมหมลาปะกาโตสัมมังวะพุทโธสุขโตวิมุตโตมาลาสภาสาวินิโมจยันโตปาเปสิเกมังจันทังเวนัยยังบุตังวรันดังศิรสานมามิโลกาสนาทันจะเวนัยคันจะทันเตจะสาเตจะยเสติโหตุสาปันตรายาจะเวนัสเมนตุธัมโมทะโจโยวิยทัสสะตุดาเสสิโลกาสเวสุติมากังนิยานิโกธัมมดราสดาริสัตตาวะโหสันติกโรสุจินโนธัมมังวรันตังศิรสานมามิโมหะปะดาลังอุปสันตตาหังทันเทจะสาเทจยเสติโหตุสาปันตรายาชวินาสเมนตุสาธัมมเสนาสุขทานุโกโยอังสันตินิโยจะโกจะสวากาตธัมมังวิดิตังกโรติสังฆังวรันตังศิรสานมามิบุตธานุบุตตังสัมมาสีลเทติงคันเทจะสาเทจยเสติโหตุสาปันตรายาชวินาสเมนตุอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะมะเหสิโนนะโมหุตมะธัมมัสสะสวากาทาเสวะเทนินะโมมหาสังฆัสสะภิวิสุทธสีลเดติโนนะโมมาตริยาราดัสสรัตนาทยาสสะดุขังนะโมมะกาติทัสสะทาสวะตุทยาสปินะโมการาปะปาเวนวิกาจันตุปาตวานะโมการานุภาเวนะสวัสติโหตุสัพพดานะโมการาสเตเจนะเวเดมิโหมิ เตจวาเสวนาจะบาลานังมันติทานันจะเสวนาปูชาจะปูชนียานังเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังปฏิรูปเดสวาโสจะภูเมจักตปุญญาตาหัตสัมมาปณิดิจเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังมหุสาจัญญเสปัญจเวนโยจะสุเสกิโตสุบาสิตาจยาวาจาเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังมาตาปิตุปาตานังโพธดาราสสังฆโหวนาคุลาจะกัมมันดาเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังทานันจะดัมมจริยาจัญญาตกานันจะสังฆโหวนวาจานิคัมมานิเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังอารติเวรติปาปามาจะปานาจะสัญญโมอะปมาโดจะดัมเมสุเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังกรโหชนิวาโตจะสันเถติจักตัญยุทากาเลนะธัมมาสวนังเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังกันติจะโสวจาสันดาสมนานัญญตาสนังกาเลนะธัมมสากาจาเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังตโพจะพระมจรยัญญะหะเลยสัจจานันดาสนังนิพพานสัจกิริยาเจตัมมังกลมุตตมังโหตาสโลกดัมเมหิเจตัญญาสนคัมปติยโสกังวิลจังเกมังเอตัมมังกลมุตตมังเอตาดิสานิคาทวานสาบาธรรมปราชิตาสาบาทโสติงกาชันติทันเดสังมังกลมุตตมันเตเมตัญชสบาโลกัสมิงมานสัมบาวเยอภริมาณังอุดังนโดจติริยัญญะสัมมาดังอเวรังอสปาตังเดทันจรังนิสิโนอาสยาโนอายาวทัสสวิกตมิโดเอตังสติงหริเทยพระมเมตังวิหารังอิดัมมะโหเดเทนจหานุปกรรมสีลวาดาสเนนะสัมปาโนกาเมสุเวเนยเกตังนาหิจัตตุกาปเสยังมุนเลติอังเกนชีวิตังเฮตวาอุรังวาสาเกสุวายังรัตนังบันนิตังนันโนสมังอาติตถากเตนะหิดัมปิบุญเทรัตนังบันนิตังเอเทนะสาเชนะสวัติโหตุขยังวิราคะอมตังปณิตังยดาจังกาสาเขมุนีสมาหิโตนะเทนะดัมเมนะสมาธิกิญจิหิดัมปิดัมเมพระตนังปณิตังเอเทนะสาเชนะสวัติโหตุยัมบุตเสโตปริวานเยสุเจงสมาธิมานันทริกัญญมาหุสมาธินาเทนะสมโมนะเวจติดัมปิดัมเมรัตนังปณิตังเอเทนะสาเชนะสวัติโหตุเยโภกัลลาตาตสตังปสาตาจาตาริเอธานิโยกานิหนติเตตาคินัยยาสุกทาสสาวกาเอเทสุเดนานิมหาปลานิดัมปิสังเกรัตนังบันนิตังเอเทนะสาเชนะสวัติโหตุเยสุปโยตามนัสสาดาเลนะเนกามิโนโกตมัสสาสนัมหิเทปาติปาตาอ
อมตังวิกายลาดามุดาเนบุติงบุญญมานะอิดัมปิสังเกรัตนังปณิตังเอเทนะสาเจนะสวัสดิโหตุกีนังโบราณังนวังนาติสัมภวังวิลาตเจตายติเกโบอัสมิงเทคีนาบิจาหวิรุลิจันดาเดปันดิดิรายตายัมปดิโพอิดัมปิสังเกรัตนังปณิตังเอเทนะสาเจนะสวัสดิโหตุอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจรณะสัมปันโนสุขโตโลกวิดูอนุตตโรปุริสธัมมสารติสัตตาเทวมนุสานังบุโตภะคะวะติสวากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมสันทิติโกวัคคาลิโกเอหิปัสสิโกโหปนัยโกปัจจตังเวทิตาโมวินยูหิติสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆหุจุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆญาญาปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสามีจิปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆญาณิรังจัตตาริปุริสยุคานิยาตปุริสปุกละเอสะภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอะหุเนยโยปาหุเนยโยดากินยโยอัญจลิกรณิโยอนุตตรังบุญญาเกตังโลกัสสาติทุกขปัตตาชนิทุกขพยาปัตตาชนิพยาโสกปัตตาชนิโสกหนตุสาเบปิปานิโนเอตาวทาชะอัมเอหิสัมปรังบุญญาสัมปรังสาเบเดวานุโมดันตุสาปสัมปติสิทธิยาดานังดันตุสาทายสีลังราคันตุสาบัดาภาวนาบิรตาหนตุกาจันตุเดวตากตาสาเบบุทธาภลาปาตาภาเจคานันจยังบาลังอรหันดานันจเตเจนราคังบันดามิสัพพโสมหาคารุณิโกนาโทอิตายะสัมปานินังโมเลโตอาปารมิสัพพะปะโตสัมโมทิมุตตมังเอเทนะสัจวัจเจนะโหตุเทจยมังกลังจยันโตโบธิยาโมเลสักยานันนันติวาดโนเอวังจวังวิจโยโหหิจยาสุจยมังกเลอัปราจิตปาลังเกสีเสปัตวิโภคะเรอภิเษเกสามปมุนนานังอากาปาโตปโมดติสุนาคาตังสุมังกลังสุปปาตังสุหุติตังสุขโนสุโมโหโตจะสุเยตังบรมจาเรสุปันดาคินังกายกรรมังวาจากรรมังวดาคินังวดาคินังมโนกรรมังปณิดิเตปันดาคินาปันดาคินานิคัตวานลพันธาเตปัตตาคิเนภาวตุสาบมังกลังอาคันตุสาบเทวันตาสาบบุญนานุภาเวนัสดาโสติภาวันตุเตภาวตุสาบมังกลังอาคันตุสาบเทวันตาสาบธัมมานุภาเวนัสดาโสติภาวันตุเตภาวตุสาบมังกลังอาคันตุสาบเทวันตาสัมปสังฆานุ
ภ
Bhavena Saraswati Bhavan.
Having chanted our Parittas, that sets the stage for being able to do our Kathina announcement. First, I'll be reading out this Kathina ceremony announcement, which normally we read out on the official ceremony day, but because people are coming for Kathina multiple days, then I've been reading this announcement every day before all of you do the Sangadana announcement. But even before I read this, just have to grab something from the hall. Be right back. So I will read this Kathina ceremony announcement. Before the Kathina ceremony begins, we would like to take this opportunity to explain a little about its origins as a Buddhist custom. The offering of Kathina cloth by the laity to the Bhikkhu Sangha is a tradition which has been carried on since the time of the Lord Buddha more than 2,500 years ago. It was established as a ceremonial act to celebrate both the relationship between the laity and the Sangha and the spirit of concord within the Sangha itself. It was first allowed by the Lord Buddha to a group of 30 monks who were observers of many of the austere practices. They had wished to spend the 3 months rains retreat with him, but having been unable to reach the monastery where he was staying in time, had to spend the rains nearby. They regretted their missed opportunity, thinking, "The Lord is staying close to us, but we are not getting a chance to see him." Nevertheless, they passed the 3 months harmoniously together, and as soon as they could, despite inhospitable roads and continuing rain, with drenched robes, and in a state of weariness, they made their way to Savatthi to see him, perhaps by way of encouragement and to reward their noble efforts. It was after receiving them that the Kathina ceremony and its privileges were established by the Buddha. The Lord Buddha laid down many stipulations in order to make the offering of this cloth and the sewing of it into a robe an act of great importance to both the laity and the Sangha. It is an offering that can be made only once a year at any one monastery, and only where 5 or more bhikkhus have spent the rains retreat together. The cloth must be clean, freely given, and its donation must not have been instigated by the monastic community in any way. Once it has been offered to the Bhikkhu Sangha, it must be cut and sewn into a completely finished robe during the course of that same day. Customarily, all the bhikkhus of that monastery participate in the sewing of the robe. In this way, it becomes an act affirming the harmonious and communal nature of the Sangha. Once it has been sewn, it is then offered to one bhikkhu decided upon by the Sangha as being worthy of the gift. For the laity, the Kathina offering is a symbolic expression of their faith in the Sangha and a reaffirmation of their eagerness to cooperate harmoniously together in order to provide for its material needs. According to the Lord Buddha, the Kathina cloth is the most meritorious of all material gifts that can be made to a Sangha, bringing superlative benefits to those who have offered it. The Sangha and the laity are now all assembled. If there is to be a Kathina ceremony, then this is now the time for it to begin. And although we won't be sewing a robe today, we'll be doing that tomorrow. It's just nice to be reminded of that story. It's very meaningful and paints the picture for what we're doing right now. This club. Sure.
เดี๋ยวช่วงถ่ายบทสลับเพราะว่าเขาก็ถึงด้วยกันนะคะ May I invite all here to raise your prayers together in order to offer the Kathina Lord. นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติมังคะเตสัพพะริวารังกาทินาจิวารัสสังทิฏฐิสังคัสสะโอโรชยามะสาธุโนภันเตภิกขุสังโฆอิมังสัพพะริวารังกาทินาจิวารัสสังปฏิปันนาตุปฏิคันเทตวาจามิมานาพุทธเสนะกตินังอันตรตุอมหากังทีฆารังทีกายะสุขายะข้าแต่พระสงฆ์ผู้เจริญข้าพเจ้าทั้งหลายขอน้อมถวายผ้าปฏิจีวรกับทั้งบริวารทั้งหลายเหล่านี้แด่พระภิกษุสงฆ์ขอพระภิกษุสงฆ์จงรับผ้าปฏิจีวรกับทั้งบริวารทั้งหลายเหล่านี้ของข้าพเจ้าทั้งหลายครั้นรับแล้วขอจงกรานกฐินด้วยผ้านี้เพื่อประโยชน์และความสุขแก่ข้าพเจ้าทั้งหลายและญาติทั้งหลายมีมาการเป็นต้นสิ้นกาลและนานเทอญ We have all gathered here today to offer Kathina cloth and other requisites to the Sangha. We request that the Sangha receive this offering of Kathina cloth and other requisites for our long-lasting benefit and happiness. We wish to dedicate the well-being coming from our offerings to our relatives and friends, and particularly to our parents. May all beings be happy.
Sadhu.
ขอเชิญที่ปัทมานะคะกับพี่ยันตีเป็นตัวแทนของพวกเราจะได้ถ่ายทอดกฐินนะคะขอเชิญนี่ก็เลยค่ะ
If people wanted to put their hands on this really, really long receiving cloth, it's going all the way down the middle. You can all partake in the offering. Jab Sua Kadai.
The dog is helping too.
Yes, yes.
Why did they go for dogs to make offerings?
You could move over.
Why not?
Anh thì đòi mớiเป็นไรแต่จะเข้ามาได้
แล้วตอนคืนมันจะขึ้นนะ
Cái quả một cái nào
Chinkurnadamo, could I invite you to give the Kathina and a modem? I could do it if.
That's okay. I got it done.
Yatha varivaha pura paripurendi sagaram. Evameva hitodinam petanam pakapati. Ichitang patitang sumang tipameva samichatu sape parentu sankapa. Chando panaraso yatha manijo tiraso yatha.
Savidyo vivajantu.
Samarogo vinasatu. Mate bhavat vandarayo sukhi dikayuko bhava. Abhivadana silisani changuta pachayino. Chataro dhamma vadante. Ayuvanno sukhan palang. Kalena dinang ariyesu hujubutesu tatesu vipassana manatasa vipola honti dakina ye tata hanumodante vayavachang garundiva natena dakina honate vipunya sabakino apatiwana cito yatadinan mahapalang unyani paraloka saming patita hondi pani nandi avatu sabamangala rakantu samadevata samavadhanubhavena sada soti bhavantu te Bhavatu sapamangalang rakantu samadevata samadhammanubhavena sada soti bhavantu te Bhavatu sapamangalang rakantu samadevata samasanghanubhavena sada soti bhavantu te.
Moving on, we'll have the Te Tamatesana and the request for that.
Dhamma Jaloka Tripati Sampasi Tatsan Shariram Divara Ayatata
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Buddham Dhammam Sangham Namasami. So, another year of COVID Kathina. Last year we had similar Kathina having to have our Kathina over many days, multiple days. And
as is the case with everything, always advantages and disadvantages to everything. So I think one of the advantages to having the Kathina over many days like this is it's smaller numbers of people, and people get to meet each other and to spend a bit more time with each other, and to also for a bit more less frantic, less hectic. Abhayagiri Kathina is right from the very get-go has always been very large. I think right from the time when Ajahn Amaro and I came, we didn't think there would be that many people come, because we're way out in the countryside, and right from the very beginning, lots and lots of people were coming. So, and that's, of course, that's been the case all the way through, and except for COVID, but also it means that on the Kathina days, then it's quite can be overwhelming with several hundred people showing up, and it can be quite chaotic actually. So I think it's nice and peaceful. It's meaningful to be able to come together like this and to make the Kathina offerings, and to be able to listen to Dhamma over many days to determine the refuges and precepts. And it really is a blessing. Mongkol. It really is Mongkol. So that, and that's one of the things that, of course, we do every time we chant the Parittas. One of the chants that we do is always the Mangala Sutta, which is the discourse, the Buddha's discourse on the highest blessings, and of course there's many blessings that the Buddha points to, and I think one of them is certainly an element of it is the similar to what Ajahn Amaro was saying when say like determining steps, that it's not a matter of getting something from the monks or getting something like getting the precepts, asking for the precepts, receiving the precepts. It is a sense of making a determination to benefit and to draw close to the precepts, and that's say there's this aspect of blessings. Similarly, it doesn't come from the monk giving blessings. I mean, it's people, each person determining to establish themselves in that which is really beautiful, really good, and then recognizing that, delighting in it, and that's a blessing. So that even say like one of the verses that we chant is say Arati Vilati Papa Jasanyamo Apamado Jatamnesu, and it's that in English like steadfast in restraint, shunning evil ways, avoiding intoxicants that dull the mind. These are, of course, that's 5 precepts, and this is a blessing to be able to have that sense of restraint, stepping back from what is unskillful, not harming, not taking advantage of anyone, and then keeping a clear mind. I mean,
we find so many ways to intoxicate the mind in the sense of making the mind dull. And it's not just, say, alcohol or drugs. I mean, we dull the mind with all sorts of things, and is constantly clicking on the next thing to distract ourselves with on Facebook or Line or whatever. And it's a distraction, isn't it? And it doesn't really make the mind peaceful. And you think, well, because that's what a blessing is, or mongkong, is that which brings kind of brightness and peace and clarity to the heart. So that really, so coming to the monastery, and even that, I think the monastery isn't, yes, it is helpful to come to the monastery, but yeah, we don't have a box of blessings here either for people that we pass out. It's a reminder. We come to the monastery, remind ourselves of what is really beneficial, reminding ourselves of what is ways of living, ways of being that are actually really skillful for us as human beings. And of course, that's so that we can go back into our lives, go back to our homes, and bring those blessings to our life in the world, bring those blessings to our life with our family or our workplace. Those are all ways that we bring, we dwell in that which is a blessing, is mongkong. And it's something very important to be recollecting, reflecting on, reminding ourselves of, and to be able to establish ourselves establishing ourselves in the refuges and precepts, because it's such an important aspect of just having a life that has some kind of anchor, some kind of foundation, because the world would just keep pulling you in any number of directions that aren't really useful, aren't really beneficial at all. So that having this opportunity to come together on Kathina and reminding ourselves of that, being steadfast in restraint, shunning evil ways, things. Evil is a bit strong language, but it is a stepping back from that which is really unskillful, not beautiful, and that the last phrase in that verse, apamado jitanmesu, heedfulness in all things that arise, this apamada quality that the Buddha points to. It's actually one of the qualities that is kind of universal in terms of benefit. This heedfulness, or being very careful, circumspect. In Thai, of course, ไม่ประมาท ไม่ประมาทแล้วก็มีความรอบคอบที่ทวนเป็นผู้มีหลักในจิตใจที่จะได้พิจารณาอะไรเป็นสิ่งที่ถูกอะไรเป็นสิ่งที่ผิดอะไรเป็นสิ่งที่นำความเจริญให้เกิดขึ้นอะไรเป็นสิ่งที่นำความเสื่อมให้เกิดขึ้นเรามีความไม่ประมาท So that sense of apamada, of heedfulness, of course, that's how the Buddha himself actually summarized his whole teaching. Like on his at the time of his passing away, he's on his deathbed. He's met with people. He's given his various instructions. People have asked him questions, and this is his very last words that he said were recorded in St. Pali. Vaya Dhamma Sankara Apamadena Sampadeta. So it's that all, say, Vaya Dhamma Sankara, all compounded things, all things are subject to change, subject to dissolution. And establish yourself in Kwamaipaman, in heedfulness. That's if one did that, that's enough. That's how the Buddha, 45 years of teaching, and that's how he ended his whole ministry, his whole teaching. Of course, he gave huge amounts of teachings in various different ways, but that is the essence of it. So that learning how to be careful, to be calm, to be heedful and attentive to what is a benefit and what's not a benefit. To be very sensitive to ways in which one can live that doesn't create suffering for oneself or suffering for others, that brings happiness to oneself and happiness to others. So that's that sense of appamada, because what we do has results, and that's a fundamental foundation for right view. To have sammaditthi, to have right view, is to know, to recognize, to understand that whatever we do, for good or for ill, of that I will be the heir. I receive the fruits of my actions, whether it's by body, speech, or mind. And what do I want to receive? Of course, we all we want to be happy, we want to be peaceful, we want to have a kind of life that is smooth and harmonious, but we have to pay attention to, well, what are we doing? What are we doing by our actions and body, speech, and mind, and what is inherently going to be the result? Because there will be results. It's a very simple reality that we have to be willing to learn from and encourage ourselves. And again, it's not that anybody else can do it in the same way that when one determines the precepts, one is encouraging oneself to establish oneself in those principles of virtue and integrity. When one recollects the refuges, it's in order to remind ourselves that is what is a true refuge. So it's us encouraging ourselves, so that sense of and this is what is the foundation of all blessings in our life, comes through our actions. And another aspect of creating the blessings or establishing oneself in what is truly more core, is what we have reverence for. What we have reverence for, what we respect. Like the next verse in the Mangala Sutta, that after the one I just recited. Is Karla vocha niva tocha santuti chikatanyuta kalena dhamma savadam. So the Karla vocha niva tocha, so the having the sense of respect or reverence, respectfulness, and being of humble ways. That sense of humility,มีความนอบน้อมถ่อมตัวไปไหนไม่ได้ยกหูชูหางหรอกวันใดวันรู้จักถ่อมตัวซะหน่อยเป็นคนที่ไปไหนก็มีความเคารพนอบน้อมต่อสิ่งที่ดีงาม This is really beautiful, especially in a Buddhist culture, of course. This is such a strong foundation, and to be able to keep reminding ourselves of that. And what are the things that are really, worthy of reverence, worthy of respect? What are we, and that there's an interesting teaching that the Buddha gives, where he talks about the different bases of respect, and and of course the first is and it's interesting that when the word he uses is more the teacher, but referring to himself, and so that having respect toward the Buddha, having respect to the Buddha as a great teacher, as a leader, as one who has pointed the way. Well, then having respect for the Dhamma, for the teachings of the Buddha, for the principles of truth that the Buddha pointed to, and respect for the Sangha. I mean, these are pretty fundamental, that sense of having respect for and reverence for Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, because these are really our refuges. And when we lift these up into the heart and have a certain sense of reverence and homage, then it brightens the mind, brightens the heart. But then the Buddha goes on to say, well, other things that are a basis of respect is this respect for training, and that is really because it isn't a matter of, okay, I pay homage to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. I have respect for the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and you've got to train, you've got to practice, because all the Buddha can do is give you the teachings. All the Buddha can do is point the path out to one, and we have to train. We have to be willing to educate ourselves, to train, to practice, and recognizing that we can learn. Because sometimes we think, I'm so hopeless, I can't learn anything. I never get it. But it's also recognizing that, that the training is there because the Buddha recognizes that we can actually train ourselves. That we can learn, because the teachings of the Buddha are not so, how do you say, in English, abstruse. I mean, it's sort of like so kind of refined or so distant that we can't know. The Buddha is pointing the fundamental things that we all experience as human beings. Suffering and the end of suffering. Nobody wants to suffer. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody knows what greed, hatred, delusion are. And we know what it's like when our minds are not swept up in those moods, those habits. So that sense, we can learn, we can train ourselves to incline to the peaceful, to the beautiful, and and to live in a way that is kind of like one of the words that is always used as a basis for the goal is like a noble path, noble fruit. Ardiya Pon. And there's a nobility, a kind of a beauty of when we really do live in following the Buddha's teachings and train ourselves. So this having reverence for the training is really essential. Also, a reverence for samadhi, for making the mind peaceful, because samadhi is like collectedness of mind, composure of mind, settling the mind. I mean, we're so used to stimulating the mind, stirring it up, entangling the mind in all sorts of things, again, a sense of distraction. So that having a reverence for samadhi, a reverence for peacefulness, the peacefulness of the heart, a reverence for the fact that the human heart can be peaceful. It can be quite soft, radiant, and incredibly easeful or joyful. These are all possible. And so that having a reverence for that and realizing, I really want to give some time to that. And I mean, usually what people do, I really want to give some time to that. I don't have time now. So it's, but one bucket boom. As if it says, why do something today that I can put off till tomorrow? Which is that kind of tendency is not so fruitful. We have to remind ourselves, with that kind of respect and reverence for samadhi and for training, then we need to go ahead and do it. And it's bit by bit. It's not as if somehow you're going to wave the magic wand of I want to be peaceful, and it's going to be peaceful now. You have to commit to doing it. It's like any kind of a skill that you have to learn and gain some proficiency in, gain some experience in, and then we become skilled at it. So it's reverence for the composed, settled, peaceful mind or the heart. The next thing that the Buddha points to as worthy of reverence, or one should be directing reverence and respect towards, is appamada, heedfulness. So it comes back to that heedfulness again. This is a theme that the Buddha returns to over and over again in his teachings, and it's something that is pretty basic, but it's also because it's a simple principle. You start recognizing that it fits into everything that we're doing, whether it's our day-to-day life, or with our work, or with our family, dealing with our mind, dealing with the people around us, dealing with trying to have the mind more well trained and established in the teachings, in trying to gain more discernment and understanding. It all takes this sense of appamada, a heedfulness, a circumspection that we have to cultivate. So that having respect and reverence for the appamada. And the very last thing that the Buddha points to as something worthy of respect is, and I think it's really interesting because he's gone through all these principles. Okay, basically the teacher or the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, Sikha, the training, Samadhi, the meditation, Appamada, this principle of heedfulness. And the very last one is reverence for hospitality. That sense of looking after each other and caring for visitors, caring for guests, looking after, having a sense of welcoming. And so whether it's as say within a family or within a public situation or say here at a monastery, that sense of hospitality, welcoming, and particularly say like at a monastery, like at Abhayagiri, it's kind of one, of course, as say a resident community welcoming people to come in, but then also people who are here. I mean, it's on a certain level, it's kind of a big family, and to welcome each other, to look after each other, care for each other, the sense of hospitality, and looking out for each other, and being willing to care for and make sure that people feel comfortable, and on a certain level, it is it's up to each person to create their level of comfort, but the sense of just being of a welcoming nature, so that you can, when you meet somebody, you can you can scowl at them or you can smile at them, and that has a different. Each one has a different result, and so that being able to be welcomed, to have kindness, the basis of loving kindness, of being generous with one's attention and time. There's a hospitality that is there, and that's something that is beautiful to establish. So these are, of course, the Buddha was so skillful in to me, amazingly skillful in being able to teach not just say monastics and say like a path of renunciation and focused on complete enlightenment and liberation when he did that, but all the ways of living together as human beings, so that this human experience is it's not always comfortable. It's not always pleasant. So that having the qualities of heart, the blessings that allow life to be something that is a benefit to oneself, benefit to others. So today we've gathered together, made offerings for Kathina, and this is the fifth day, 5 down, 1 to go. So it's tomorrow is sort of the final day, and I just express my delight and appreciation for everybody joining us and participating in this annual Kathina ceremony. So, Anumodana.
Sadhu, 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 anumodami.
Thank you very much, Luang Por, for those reflections. And it's a bit chilly out. And before people are frozen in place permanently. And, I could tell one more Cha joke, but I don't know if I should. People must know that one probably. When he first came to America and went to Mount Rainier, everybody knows that. Well, people wouldn't know it because Ajahn Prabhakaro was here with Suzuka talk, and they stayed at the house, and Ajahn Prabhakaro's sister Gail was quite young, but remembers Luang Por Chah fondly. And then when they took him to Mount Rainier to see snow for the first time, he'd never seen snow before. And then, so he saw snow, and he was very interested in snow and thought it was interesting. And then on the way down the mountain, he said, "Oh, Luang Por, we're going to stop at the restroom. Do you need to use the restroom?" And he said, "It's frozen." I think for the rest of the trip, they couldn't stop laughing. So we don't freeze. Maybe we'll just close with the verses of sharing an aspiration. We'll do it in Pali. It's on page 32 in the chanting book, or if you know it, if you have it memorized, then you can chant along, and then we'll have time to go stand out in the sun out there.
Annamayang udisanaritanagatayo banamase
Emina punyakamena upajaya gunutara acharyo pakara chamata pita chanyataka suryo chandimaraja gunawanda narapita brahmamara Jainna Chalokapala Chadevata Yamomita Manusa Chamajata Verika Pichasabe Sata Sukhi Hondu Punyani Pakatani Ne Sukan Chadividang Denduke Pangma Petavo Matang Imina Punyakam Nena Imina Udisena Chakepahang Sulabe Chevatanu Padana Chetanang Yesandane Niyana Dhamma Yavanibanato Mamangasantu Samana Yevayata Jato Bhave Bhave Uchuchetang Satipanya Saleko Viriyamina Mara Labanduno Kasangatunja Viriye Sume Buddhadi Pawalo Nato Dhammo Nato Varutamo Nato Pache Kabuto Chasango Nato Taro Mamangazo Dhammanubhave Namaro Kasan Labanduma.
Joel. Let's take 5.